This is Tennyson E Stead, writer and director of Quantum Theory. During my last 8-sided blog, I talked a little bit about repertory film and what it means. And it seems like a really good subject to follow that up with would be the importance of theater, which is something that I think Hollywood has a tendency to ignore. And it's detrimental to our industry that we do. There are, as I said in the last blog, two essential commodities that we have to offer and two basic kinds of work that we do in this industry, and in my opinion every single show person is responsible for both. On the one hand, there's the craftsmanship or craftspersonship. It's our job to provide the absolute best work from ourselves that we possibly can and to continually improve what's possible from ourselves. That's the craft. Showpersonship is about building community. And it's about bringing people together, both professionally in terms of maintaining the relationship networks that keep a show excellent and that keep a show functioning, and making sure that the people that we bring into our circle are the best possible people for the show, and that we maintain great relationships with them, that we support them in their work, not just on this production but in other productions. And also to reach out to the audience, talk to them consistently, and welcome them into the community that we're building so that they want to keep coming to more shows, so that they're a part of something more than just the event in the room itself. Because, frankly, because it takes a little bit of trust to lock yourself in a dark room with a bunch of strangers. That's for starters. And that's what we're asking everyone to do. So community is very important. Maintaining that community takes work. We call it showmanship or showpersonship. Theater takes away all of the distractions from those two things and presents the audience to us in a format where we absolutely cannot ignore their interaction with the material. And in that respect, I think theater and working in theater keeps me honest. I like the fact that the actor has ultimate control over what the audience is seeing. That's not an aspect of film, and it certainly pats my control freak brain to sit down in the editing room and work on the performances and take bits and pieces that I think work the best and string them together in a way that I think creates the most lush narrative and the most engaging possible presentation of what's on the page, and the most honest. But on stage you don't have that. I think that's a good thing. I think that giving the actor the opportunity to speak for themselves is integral to the work that we do. And I think that working on stage forces you to learn not just to trust actors, but which actors to trust. And I think part of the reason why people in this town look down on actors the way that they do is because they don't work with them enough. They don't understand what actors are and what they're capable of, and that's the subject of another different 8-sided blog, which I'll make a note on once I finish this. But the point that I'm making here, in fact I did. What is Hollywood missing? Look back through the backlog of interviews and you'll find me go into this in much greater detail. But for right now, the point that I'm making is that isolating yourself with those actors, doing the work of building their motivations and building the pace of the show and building the habits that's going to keep the show on track, and then letting them go and perform it, it really does help you as a filmmaker retain a sense of spontaneity, and it helps you understand what the rehearsal process is for, and it helps you really learn to mine that spontaneity in the details and what level of detail is appropriate. You know what I'm saying? People talk a lot about the rehearsal process as something that strips away spontaneity, when in reality what it does, if you're doing it right, and a lot of people don't, what it does is it brings the impulses that actors use to inform their performances from moment to moment to a finer and finer and finer tuned level. In other words, if you're in a comedy, you don't want the actor wondering where the comic beat is and feeling for it, because they're gonna second guess themselves, or they won't, but that comic beat isn't gonna happen until after the audience already realizes it should be there. What you want to do instead is train the actor to deliver the comic beat a second before the audience realizes they should see it coming. and then let the actor find the emotional truth in that moment individually. You see what I'm saying? From night to night, in other words. You want them to deliver that comic beat in a way that you don't expect. And the fact that it shows up when it's supposed to show up means it'll be funny. That's how performance is supposed to work. And theater helps you maintain a focus on that workload. And then once the show is over, you sit there, you listen to the audience talk about it, and you feed them drinks while they yell at you or congratulate you or whatever the case may be. They sit there and they talk to you about it. And it's an unspoken rule in every single theater I've ever worked in that you stay until the last audience member is gone. If the audience saw you, if you're on stage or if you're hanging around in the lobby or anything like that, you're going to be, serving beers and, saucing them up a little bit and getting them to, have a good time before they leave the theater. And if they didn't notice you for whatever reason, then you're in the back, sweeping up, cleaning up, resetting the stage, putting the props back where they need to be for the next production. And then you come out and you socialize. And then once everybody's out of your house, you clean the stage, you lock the doors, you come back and you do it again. But, it's like having a guest in your home. It's your job to take care of them. On the one hand, working in this day and age means that opportunity is 24 hours a day. We have the 8-sided form for that exact reason. But specifically having those audience members there in your house and listening to them breathe and listening to them, respond to the performance and sigh, and you can tell when they're bored. I promise you, it's agonizing. Nothing's worse than listening to a bored audience. But there they are, And as filmmakers, it's really important to remember that we're not exporting a piece of film that's a product, and we're not selling it to distributors. We're selling tickets to an audience that's going to sit in a theater and watch the show. And a lot of filmmakers talk about the importance of visualizing the audience. It's not about visualizing. It's not some esoteric concept. They're real people, They're your people, ideally. They're people that you have communicated with and you have built relationships with. And even if there's hundreds of thousands or millions of them, you maintain relationships with sort of, core emissaries within that group because they're on Twitter talking to you and asking you questions, and they're the ones who care enough to come to you, and then they inform the others. But there's a real line of communication. There's a real relationship there that you maintain. And if you don't have a physical sense that these are real people that you're serving, I don't understand how you can make movies. You know what I mean? If they're not real to you, what are you doing? What is the point of the strip of film? Why are you on set? Why go through all this work if not for the people that are actually sitting there in the room waiting for the lights to go out and, and the screen to brighten up with whatever is waiting for them? If that's not a relationship that you prize, then I can't imagine what would make this all worthwhile. That and the relationships of the people who work with you. And one of the other neat things about theater is that they are all there that night. Especially if it's opening night, the writer will be there, and that's the most divorced person from the process. Maybe, but the producer will be there. You got your lighting designer there panicking over whether everything's focused right. You've got your sound designer there going over the cues one last time before the whole thing goes up, unless they've got another show. You got your whole cast. You're the director, in my case. There you are. You've got the house manager taking care of everybody. Everybody's there doing their job together. And that's your family. Those are the people that you're going to look at every day in, day out, in that space, doing the thing that you're all there to do. And if you're a director, it's your job to make sure that it's great enough to make it worth their while. And if you're not looking them in the face on that night, you lose the truth of what you're doing. And in reality, I don't see film as a different thing. It's those two things. It's the people. It's your family and the people you're bringing into your home. That's the showmanship, and it's the craft, you know? And that craft really, really starts with performance. The whole thing boils down to giving an actor something to do, an action, and following it up with layer after layer after layer of detail and motivation until that action is the most important thing in the world, and nobody knows if they're going to succeed or fail, and people get invested in it. That's the job. Theater makes it physical and it makes it real, and I wish that the actors in this town there's a distinction between actors and what I affectionately refer to as schmactors. An actor has never told me that they refuse to do theater. Put it to you that way. But I wish that people would stop telling me that they refuse to do theater. And I think I'm going to end this blog here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. Thank you very much for your support, and I will come to you again soon with another 8-sided blog. Tennyson E Stead out.